Texans Nation, good evening. Today's topic is serious, very serious, and I need you to pay attention to every word because what I'm about to tell you could be the most important news of this entire offseason for the Houston Texans. The Dallas Cowboys are eyeing one of the most important players on our defense. This isn't an internet rumor. This isn't fan speculation. These are active negotiations, real conversations. A concrete interest from a rival wanting to snatch from our roster precisely the man who commands our entire defense on the field. Think about what this means. The best defense in the NFL in 2025, the team that won 9 straight games at the end of the season, the team that reached the playoffs with a record of 12 wins and 5 losses. This entire defense has a brain, a leader, a captain who organizes everyone before each play, and the Cowboys want exactly that man. But here's what will make you feel more at ease, and at the same time more nervous. The Texans don't want to trade him, they want to renew the contract. But Dallas is willing to put important draft picks on the table to change that story. And in the NFL, Texans Nation, money and draft picks change a lot. Stick with me until the end, because this is the kind of decision that defines a team's future for years. The player the Cowboys are chasing is named Azeez Al-Shaair, linebacker, captain of the Texans for 2 consecutive seasons, selected for the Pro Bowl in 2025 after the best season of his career. And when you hear everything this man did last season, you'll immediately understand why Dallas is willing to pay a high price to have him. And you'll also understand why the Texans need to do everything to keep him in Houston. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. We cover every move this team makes before everyone else. Don't miss out. Let's talk about the numbers because they tell you everything about this player. In the 2025 season, Al-Shaair led the Texans in tackles with 103 in total, 2 interceptions, 9 passes defended, 1 forced fumble. These are the numbers of an elite linebacker, a player who is everywhere at once, who solves runs, covers receivers, intercepts passes, and forces quarterback errors. But what the numbers don't show is what this man does before each play. The green dot on his helmet. Have you noticed that, Texans Nation? That green dot that appears on a player's helmet on the field means he is the defensive communicator, the player who receives instructions from the defensive coordinator in the booth and relays them to all 10 other players on the field in a matter of seconds. This is one of the most difficult and important roles in American football, and Al-Shaair does it with a naturalness that few players in the NFL can achieve. And there's one more thing that makes this player even more special. He was never drafted. He entered the NFL as an undrafted free agent. No hype, no expectations, no guarantees. And he built his career brick by brick, season by season, until he reached the Pro Bowl. This is the story of a man who never gave up. Now you need to understand why Dallas is pursuing Al-Shaair with such determination, because this isn't a random pursuit. There's a very clear reason behind it. The Cowboys had one of the worst defensive seasons in their recent history in 2025. Dallas's defensive collapse was one of the most talked about topics in the NFL that year. And with Christian Parker taking over as the new defensive coordinator, the entire team is being rebuilt from scratch on the defensive side. What Parker needs more than anything is a center linebacker who commands the defense, someone who organizes everyone on the field, someone who speaks, who leads, who corrects the positioning of teammates before the opposing quarterback even reaches the line of scrimmage. Al-Shaair does exactly that in Houston, and Dallas knows it. According to insider information, the Cowboys considered other names for the position, such as Patrick Queen and Jordan Brooks. But Al-Shaair rose to the top of the list, and now the talks are real, with Dallas willing to put significant draft picks on the table to convince the Texans to trade. And here we arrive at the most tense point in this whole story, because it's not simple, it's not a common negotiation. It's a high-stakes standoff involving money, loyalty, strategy, and the future of one of the best defenses in the NFL. On one side, the Cowboys with draft picks and cash in hand, desperately wanting to solve their linebacker problem before the start of the season. On the other side, the Texans who know exactly what Al-Shaair is worth, who don't want to lose him, and who are working on a contract extension that would keep him in Houston until at least 2029. And in the middle of all this is Al-Shaair himself, who has deep ties with DeMeco Ryans, who followed the San Francisco 49ers coach to Houston in 2023, precisely because of this relationship of trust, and who seems genuinely happy in Houston. But Al-Shaair is in the final year of his current contract, $11.5 million in 2026, and if the extension isn't finalized soon, the pressure from all sides increases with each passing week. The Texans also have other huge financial decisions ahead. C.J. Stroud will need a contract extension. Will Anderson Jr., one of the best defensive ends in the league, will also need an expensive renewal. And with over $90 million already spent on the offensive line this offseason, the salary cap is being managed very carefully by Nick Caserio. So the real question Houston executives are asking themselves now is it better to keep Alshire and pay a nearly $40 million extension for 3 years, or is it better to trade him to the Cowboys and use that draft capital to build the team's future in other ways? Most people close to the team believe Alshire will stay. Experts from Over the Cap, Spotrac, and the Houston Chronicle share this view. An extension is the most likely outcome. Spotrac projected a 3-year contract worth nearly $40 million as fair market value for Alshire. $13 million a year for the captain, the communicator, and the heart of the NFL's best defense. When you put it that way, it even seems cheap. DeMeco Ryans isn't the type of coach to hand over a player like that to a state rival. Someone who's been with him from the beginning, who built that defense alongside him, who represents everything Ryans believes about how American football should be played, with aggression, with intelligence, and with leadership. Texans Nation, this is the story that will define the next few days of this offseason in Houston. Azeez Alshire, the captain, the Pro Bowler, the man who was never drafted and reached the top of the NFL through sheer grit and determination, and the Dallas Cowboys, our state rival, trying to snatch him from our roster before the season even begins. The Texans' response needs to be quick, clear, and definitive. Now, I want to know what you think, Texans Nation. Should the Texans close the Alshire extension right now before the Cowboys make an offer that's hard to refuse? Or do you think the draft capital Dallas can offer is worth more than keeping him in Houston? Leave your comments below. This is a conversation every Houston fan needs to have right now, and I'll read every response. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, share with that friend who roots for the Texans and doesn't yet know about this Cowboys move. Pull up. Alshire is ours, and it needs to stay that way.